This is Burl Ives. I'm going to tell you the story of how a beautiful queen named Esther used her faith in God to save her people. This happened a long time ago in a kingdom so vast it stretched from India to Ethiopia. It came to pass when Ahasuerus the king, who had gold and wealth and riches, the best of everything, yet sometimes in the palace he felt empty and alone. So he sent his wise men out to find someone beautiful and kind to be his queen, to sit beside him on the throne. There was a man named Mordecai who heard the king's request, for he worked in the palace and knew the loveliest of all the ladies in the land was his cousin Esther. So he summoned her upon the scene, and she was chosen to be queen. With beauty and with goodness, God had blessed her. Esther had been an orphan, and when she was left alone, Mordecai adopted her and raised her as his own. There was just one problem now, one thing she should not do. Mordecai advised it best. Please don't speak, was his request, about the fact that you're a Jew. Then came the time for King Ahasuerus to choose a man to be prime minister. To serve the people was the plan. He selected Haman, who instead made people bow. And when Mordecai refused, Haman shouted, "Kill the Jews! All the men, women, children too, spare not one life now." There was no time to waste. Mordecai knew where to go. He went to speak to Esther. He thought that she should know. So he ran as quickly as he could to the palace of the king. And when Esther heard the news of Haman's plot to kill the Jews, she was burdened down with great suffering. "This is the time you must act now," Mordecai spoke out. "Placing you in this palace was God's purpose, there's no doubt. But no one appears before the king without the king's permission. To do so would mean death," she cried. "No man or woman goes inside unless the king is holding the golden scepter of recognition." She told her cousin Mordecai she'd need 3 days to fast and pray. She asked the Jews to fast with her, no food or drink for those 3 days. So bravely she waited to be seen. Could her faith meet the test, or would the king recognize Esther? And then the king leaned the scepter toward his queen. "Please come for dinner," Esther said, "and please bring Haman too." They soon arrived to dine with her, and when they were through, the king asked, "What can I do for you? What may I provide?" She only smiled, inviting them to come and dine with her again. "Tomorrow night will be all right," the lovely queen replied. They responded, "We'll be back," and bid the queen goodbye. But walking home, Haman came upon dear Mordecai. He turned past Haman, never bowing, just went walking on. That got Haman so upset, he'd get even next time they met. So that night his plans were drawn. He decided he would build a gallows straight and tall where Mordecai would die. He deserved it after all. Not bowing down to me, said Haman, what good does it do? I must be respected, yet tonight I am rejected by a Jew. Haman was planning for Mordecai to die. He went to meet the king with vengeance in his eye. They met and then proceeded on to dine at Esther's place. The food was quite delicious. Are there any other wishes? Asked the king. Pleadingly Esther gazed into his face. Please save my people, Esther cried. Whatever do you mean? The king replied. Who would dare to harm my lovely queen? 'Tis Haman, Esther quickly said. He wants to kill the Jews. He is so cruel. Please say that you'll be kind and not refuse. I do not understand. It is all bewildering. Why do you wish to save the Jews? I'm confused, replied the king. Because they are my people. I never mentioned it before. I am a Jew, proud to be. That's why I'm hoping you will see how important this all is to me. Their lives mean even more. The king pointed to Haman, declaring, you must die. Ironically, upon the gallows built for Mordecai. He gave Haman's land to Esther. She'd saved her people from despair. Mordecai was also glad he got the job that Haman had. King Ahasuerus had proven he was kind and fair. So now you know the story of how Esther, brave and true, helped to save God's people, men, women, children too. She was willing to risk her life no matter what the cost, by having faith and praying, through danger still obeying God. Because of her, no lives were lost.